You know the vibes. It's Friday. Mo Mootsie alongside the three-time NBA champion BJ Armstrong. No gimmicks. And BJ, what does it mean? When it's a Friday, what does that mean?
That means it's time to get to the people. Because
that's right.
We got to give the people, give the people what they want. Oh, no one wants to hear DC.
Oh, man, I'm going to turn that into a jingle. You just messed up, boy. That's going to be the jingle every week. It's time for Hoopology, the section where we answer your questions. If you want your question answered, make sure you tweet it into us by following the Hoop Genius account on Twitter. But in the meantime, you're locked into the Hoop Genius podcast presented by NBA 2K. Now, BJ, we've got a lot to discuss because we had some great guests on the show this week. We had Bismack from the Phoenix Suns. We had a two-part show with Brian Scalabrine, not one, but two. Woo! But that does mean we haven't had a chance to talk basketball. And Zubair has asked a question that everyone's been talking about today. And he wants to talk about the Miami Heat. He wants to talk about the Miami Heat. Now, we all saw the drama going on. Jimmy Butler, Eric Spoelstra, Udonis Haslem. But Zubair is asking the question, has Miami reached a point where they aren't as good as they were at the beginning of the season? They can't beat top teams with missing stars anymore. He's referring to losing to Philly without Harden and Embiid. And there is a possibility they may even slip to fourth in the East by the playoffs. That would be interesting. Can they turn it around? Now, for me personally, everyone's panicking about the situation that unfolded in the game against the Golden State Warriors, who were playing without Draymond, Steph, and these guys. And, you know, what happened was, if you guys didn't see the game and you haven't been on social media, you didn't see the clip, is Jimmy Butler had like a weak closeout and Eric Spoelstra called a timeout. He said something to Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler must have said something back, and Eric Spoelstra said, "Oh, you're going to kick my ass?" And Udonis Haslem looks at Jimmy Butler and says, "I'll beat your ass." And then it escalated from there. And what I love was Kyle Lowry trying to call another timeout during the timeout. And it was chaos. But I think that's just the spark they needed, because recently they've had a little dip in form, shall we say. But BJ, what's your assessment of the Miami Heat at this stage of the season?
Well, Mo, we need more time. I mean, this should be the only thing we discuss here today, because this is great, because, you know, as I was watching this, I just started to laugh because I've been in those situations so many times. Like, and then it's like, here you go again, right? So, Mo, you and I are going to be together for a minimum of 8 hours a day. We're going to play 82 games. There's bound to be some type of conflict, right? There's only one thing that unites a group, and that's winning. That's it. Now, when you don't win, Mo, there's bound to be some conflict. Okay, so now we're in a situation, and it plays itself out in real time in front of everyone to see. Now, the thing that I enjoy about conflict, I mean, I love conflict like this because it shows you who the leader of the group is. Okay, this is anytime I've been in one of these, and I've been in
plenty.
I've been in one too many. Like, it's just now like PJ Tucker.
B, you're lucky. You're lucky they didn't have Instagram when you played, man. You're lucky they didn't have Instagram when you played.
Exactly. But like the funniest response out of it, like everyone's looking at Kyle Lowry calling timeout. Everyone's looking at funny, Udonis Haslem. And, so my favorite person in all of this was Caron Butler.
Yeah.
Caron Butler's response was just that was just, man, like, I'm going to call Caron. It's not,
he's a real G though. Sure if you read his book, you guys at home will know.
No, I know Caron. Caron is, okay, there's whatever. But then when you know the real ones, right? Just watch next time you watch it, because this thing's gotten over 1 million views now. Watch Caron Butler. Caron Butler made me laugh. Like, that's just the response you want to have. Like, okay, here we go again. Let's watch this soap opera. Everyone's going to be here. We're going to get, and then tomorrow, everyone's going to, kiss and make up.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, the one thing, here's a teachable moment for everybody. When you have these conflicts, they're never personal. It's just business. But what happened to me is what needed to happen. Who's the leader of the group? The leader of the group takes responsibility for the good, the bad, and the indifferent. Now, what I saw, because I've been in these meetings, is you saw Jimmy Butler say whatever I don't know what he said, but he said something. Coach Spo was sitting in his chair in our timeout. Now, very rarely do you sit in a chair.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
You sit there. So I just look at the body language of people. Okay. And then you saw the coaches and the players all around. Now, whatever was said, and I don't know, and I really don't care. But the thing that was just great was whatever was said between Udonis, who stepped up to the plate. That spark between Udonis and Jimmy Butler. But the phenomenal thing was Coach Spo, if there was a fight, we know who would win the fight. Coach Spo has no chance in the fight.
No, not even for a second.
But you know what?
With all due respect.
But let me tell you something, though. Let me tell you something. The leader of the group always does the following. He puts his career, he puts his reputation, and he puts his manlyhood. When I say manly, his life on the line. And what I saw was Coach Spo said, I don't know what you guys are saying. I don't know what you're saying, Jimmy Butler. I don't know what you're saying, Udonis. This is my team. I'm the leader of the group. And if anybody should be mad, it should be me.
Yeah, and you saw
the leader.
And you saw
the leader.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
And you saw after they separated Udonis and Jimmy, Spo was going at Jimmy. He was screaming in his face, going off at him.
This is what I love. Now, Coach Spo emerged as the leader of the group. Now we know who the leader is. Now let's stop looking around and saying, whose team is it? Coach Spo said, if anybody is going to have a say-so in how we play, I'm going to be the leader of that.
Mm-hmm.
That's respect. The man put his coaching career on the line. Coach Spo, you're my type of guy. You're my type of coach. And he put his on the line. So now the thing is, he displayed a level of leadership that everyone has to get behind. He was willing to fight. The thing that was amazing about all of this, no one in the organization ducked what happened.
That's right.
Okay,
Spo came out, did a press conference. Kyle Lowry spoke about that. Jimmy will probably speak about it tonight. Like
PJ Tucker. No one said what happened out of respect to what happened, but no one dodged it. Now, that to me is what basketball is all about. We're always talking about, do these guys care? This team doesn't. No, they care. They just needed to know who the leader is.
Do you think this is going to then spark them moving forward to the rest of the season? I think this is actually going to be a great thing for them rather than a negative that some people are saying.
Okay. See, Mo, I want to take the fans and take our listeners behind the scene. I'm a professional, Mo. There's a difference between a professional. I get paid to do this. I don't need motivation.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a pro. When you in the collegiate or you're playing in a lower division, you may need a motivation or a spark. I'm a pro, okay? Now, how do I know I'm a pro? There's one thing about Miami is Miami has an excellent culture, starting from Pat Riley on down. They treat every player I've ever had there have been treated with the utmost respect. They don't disrespect players. They don't show up players. They ask players to play hard. They take care of their own people, and they treat you with the utmost respect. They respect everything about you, your family, your well-being. Your level of professionalism is bar none.
I've been told, if you play for the Heat, anything you need is taken care of.
Okay.
Anything.
Mo, I've never had but the utmost respect. They are at the top. When you say professionalism, Coach Spo's job, if he has to light a fire under you, you probably won't be there in a Miami uniform. PJ Tucker doesn't need someone to say, get ready to play. Kyle Lowry.
Well, they clearly did last night, though, because they weren't playing with this Heat culture at all.
Okay. When you say culture, you're talking about an organization. Behind the organization, behind the uniform are people. Okay. If BJ Armstrong is only getting 4 shots a game and they go, man, you guys are taking bad shots. Well, who are you talking to? You ain't talking to me. I only got 4 shots. You got to call out the people. If the star players are shooting 30 shots a night, I shoot 4 shots. Bill Cartwright shoots 5 shots. This guy only shoots 4 or 5. Who are you really talking to if we're shooting bad shots?
It's not the shots. That the reason why the whole thing happened was the defense. There was just no intensity.
Okay. Here's another thing I want to tell you, Mo. You don't lose a game on one play. You lose a game before the game starts. Okay? And what do I mean by that? When you have excellent preparation and focus, it carries over into the game. That's the one thing, that's the beauty of sports. Jimmy had a bad closeout. Okay. All right. Who hasn't had a bad closeout? Okay. He had one bad closeout and he had 99 great ones. Which one? I'll take that. What I can't take is you got 99 bad ones.
Yeah, okay, but it's not just that singular closeout, is it? It's the fact that they held an L to Philly, who had no Embiid and no Harden, and then they're losing to a Warriors team which has no Draymond and no Steph Curry.
Because that's a lack of focus.
There we go.
Okay, it's a lack of focus, and more importantly, it's a lack of leadership from the veteran players in the group. That's what that is, okay? Out of respect, Mo, out of respect, everybody is going to have, when you look at an 82-game schedule, right? Every team is going to have 5 to 7 games a year that you just can't explain.
Okay.
You're going to have 5 to 10 games you just can't explain. I'm just to say 5 to 7 games where you just say, you know what, man, Mo, we had a great day of practice yesterday. We get blown out by 30. You go, coach is going to be like, let's move on. Now, but you got to have 50 to 55 games a year, Mo, where you're either in the game and you got a chance to win those games. So that leaves you, Mo, with about 15 to 20 games that can go either way. And that either way, what's the most consistent you can do in those 15 to 20 games? That's why you hear coaches say it's so hard to win. So you got 20 games that can go either way. And what gives you the best chance? Defense. Because if we shoot well, that's great. If you and I shoot 50% from 3, Mo, we probably going to hit that. That's 10 wins out of those 20 remaining games that can go either way. But when you have games like this, Mo, now you got to look at your leadership. Coach Spo went right to the best player on the team. He went right to Jimmy Butler. See, he didn't go to Kyle Lowry. He didn't go to PJ Tucker. He didn't go to, is it Markeith that's down there? Is it Markeith that's down there? Or is it Markeith?
Yeah.
Bam. He went to Jimmy Butler. You want to be the best player on the team. The best player of the team does what, Mo? He's got to take responsibility.
Okay.
Now, what he did was he went right at him. And there was some resistance.
It's Jimmy Butler, of course. It wouldn't be Jimmy Butler if there wasn't.
Okay. So, but if you want to sit in the place as the best player, you can't be the best player and not take on the responsibility, good, bad, or indifferent.
Yes.
Now, and to me, that's what Spo established.
Okay.
Now, today, move on. Everybody said what they had to say. Is there anything that needs to be said? What needs to be said is, okay, they got to come out and execute. I'm not talking about a closeout.
Okay, so let's go back to the original question, right? Over the recent games, they lost to the Warriors with this whole thing.
Yes.
They lost to the Philly, who were missing their two best players. They lost to the Minnesota Timberwolves. They lost to the Phoenix Suns. Do you see this as an issue of the Miami Heat potentially slipping up as the season comes to a close, or do you think they'll be fine?
You know what, Mo? No team, Miami Heat, every team has their set of problems. Okay. We love to say the following. Well, this team is playing well. They're hot at the right time. Okay, Mo. All right, you're hot at the right time. That's the regular season. You and I know, Mo, and the fans who really watch this game know regular season basketball is different than
I know the Utah fans are big mad right now.
Okay. Everybody knows this. No. What I like, Mo, are truth tellers and people who tell it like it is. Okay. Now, Mo, let's I don't want to be skewed. I don't want to be the one to say conflict is great for any organization. You have to be able to function in the chaos. The more chaotic the situation, the better you find out about your team. Now, let's go back to the earlier in the season. There was a lot of conflict in Boston.
Mm-hmm.
Marcus Smart called everybody out.
Mm-hmm.
The Celtics looked like they were done. Let's just be honest, Mo.
Yes,
they were done. You had
done.
You were like, oh man, we're not going to get to the playoffs. Where are you, Mo? You were done. Marcus Smart called everybody out. It was conflict. People, man, maybe Jason Tatum and maybe they can never get along. Maybe this is the wrong coaching move. All of the things, Mo.
That's what people were saying.
That's what people were saying. And the record indicated they might have been right. Now, let me tell you something, Mo. If you want to turn something around, you got to face the problem head on.
100%.
Say what you want to say. I'm going to say this. I think this Miami team is fine. Why? Because they have veterans. I'm telling you right now, Mo, it's great topics for us. I was really looking forward to today because I knew that was going to be the headline.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, Mo, if I were playing on a team, man, you need that. It just breaks up the monotony. You know what? Someone needed to say it. It might as well be me.
I like it, man. I think,
you know what I'm saying? This is what I think is going to happen. I just want to say this real quick. I don't think it's going to have any bearing on the team. But what I do know is that he has the attention of the team now. And we are all going to point to this incident as the reason they advance or the reason they don't. But they addressed it before they got to the battle. So it's better to know who's in and who's out before the battle starts. And that I don't have a problem with. I still like the team. I like the veterans. I like what they did. And I like the fact that it was addressed. They didn't sugarcoat it. Oh, we'll be fine. Everything is good. And it's huggy. No, we are a competitive group. We said what we had to say. We were ready to fight one another. But Mo, believe it or not, Mo, I played on a few championship teams. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't all lovey-dovey.
Man, it's good to give fans, a little peek behind the scenes. Now, if you're a regular listener to this show, our shows are about 30 minutes long. So you might be listening right now and thinking the show's almost over because we've had about 25 minutes of BJ talking about the Miami Heat. But guess what? We still got about 30 questions to get through. So we're going to keep rolling. That was good, though. That was good. Needed to be said. I think personally, Miami Heat are going to be perfectly fine. And I think things like this happen more often than you think with teams. Fans just don't see it because it's not usually on camera. So
well, it just looks so out of place. It just looks so.
It doesn't usually happen in the arena during a game. It will be in the practice facility when
it happens in
around.
the arena. It just doesn't happen.
Yeah, in front of the fans.
On a timeout,
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, MCFC Will asks, should the Warriors, speaking of the Warriors who were in Miami last night, should the Warriors offer Jordan Poole a 4-year, $80 million contract? If so, does it mean trading away Wiggins? Jordan Poole's been impressive.
The Warriors are in from one perspective, it's a tough decision, but from another perspective, it's a great decision because he's outperformed his contract. And that's what you want. They have a really nice player who has shown when he has playing time and opportunities, he will perform.
And he's extra valuable because Clay has so many injuries. Steph's getting older, has injuries as well.
Now, what does that mean? What that means is the following. At some point here in the next, hopefully later rather than sooner, in the next 2 to 5 years, the Warriors are going to have major decisions to make, probably sooner. And I'm saying that out of respect. But they're going to have major decisions to make with their big three and Wiggins, Wiseman, and what they're going to do with their team. That's just every, Father Time just doesn't pass anyone. So Jordan Poole, give their coaching staff, their scouts, give them credit for developing him, identifying him, and seeing that he is a player. Now it's up to the organization to figure out which direction they're going to go in based on health and availability. Your best ability is your availability. Right now, the Warriors, like all aging teams, are facing the major problem. Who's available? Okay. And that's just what it is. Out of respect, those guys should have the respect to perform and defend and all the things they've done in the past. However, time goes on. Every year you get 1 year older. It gets harder and harder to recover. And the Warriors have to face that. When they are going to make that decision, hopefully it's later, because this is a good group. And if they were healthy, I think they have a legit chance. But Mo, they haven't been. That's the reality of the situation.
So are you paying Jordan Poole if you're the Warriors?
Well, as the team is currently constructed today, you can.
So are you trying to trade Andrew Wiggins?
This is what you're going to have to trade. You're going to have to move. You're going to have to move some players. But you can't have Jordan Poole and Klay Thompson.
Mm-hmm.
It has nothing about Wiggins. Wiggins, what Wiggins
Wiggins
does,
frees up salary
if frees up salary, you're building a team. So why would you have Jordan Poole, Steph Curry, and Klay Thompson? Who's going to guard?
Draymond can't guard everyone, but Wiggins has been hugely disappointing since the All-Star break. He got his All-Star break and it looked like his season was done because he has not been playing the way he was a few months beforehand. But yeah, Golden State are in a difficult situation.
That's fine.
Because
everyone has dips, but if you're building a team statistically, but you got to match up to the other teams. I know everyone wants to say he was 5 for 19 the other night. Okay, great. If you're telling me Jordan Poole and Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, that's the matchups you want on the defensive end every night. No,
that's not what I want.
We're building a team.
So the Warriors aren't gonna be able to pay Jordan.
The Warriors
is your answer to the question.
The Warriors, as the team is currently constructed, they're not going to be able to pay him.
Okay,
and they have Wiseman coming up, and they have some other
Kuminga, Moody. They got all these young guys that in 2, 3, 4 seasons they're gonna have to pay. For what it's worth, I think that Steph and the culture they built there, after these big contracts for these guys finished, if they're still playing by the time these big contracts finish, I think they will take very team-friendly contracts like Dirk did with the Dallas Mavericks in order for these young guys to get paid and try and have one last run at it. But Andrew Williams wants to know, do you think we will see Ben Simmons playing this season? Yes or no? I'm thinking it's a no because they're saying he's got a herniated disc in his back, a slip disc. So I think I think he won't be playing. BJ, any insight?
Yeah, that's what I'm just going by what
the reports say
from the medical saying. It's hard to believe that that was not known prior to the trade. But it is what it is, and I don't at this point the whole thing just seems bizarre to me now.
Yeah, man.
It seems now it's taking like new turns. So now he has a herniated disc, and who knows when that's going to happen or if he's going to come back. So I just think right now I don't know.
The good news is Kyrie can now play in home games, so that brings a whole nother element to the Brooklyn Nets that we're going to get onto discussing. Well, the fact that they've got their starting point guard for 50% of the games that he was previously going to miss. I think that's a big plus for the Brooklyn Nets. But Reza wants to know what's Memphis's ceiling in this year's playoffs. How far do you think Memphis can go? Because I think they can make the finals if the chips fall right in their direction.
I love this team. I love this team's spirit. And, you can see like last night, they're fun. How, feel good stories and you watch them and you feel good. I'm rooting for them. And I think this team, as it's currently constructed, I think they are primed to get to, past the first round. Depending on who they play, getting to the conference finals, depending on who they play, because they're good. And the reason I say this is because of the following. I was watching them last night and I said, with the exception of Ja, who else on their team can just go get you 30 outside of the offense? Because when you get past the semifinals, the teams are going to take away something, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm going to take away, we're not going to leave Dillon Brooks. We're not going to leave Desmond Bane. Now, who can just go get you? Now, if Ja Morant has it going, he's playing downhill, he's creating havoc in the lane, he's passing the guys who are open because they're spacing. Do I think they're capable of scoring 30 in a game? Absolutely. But who can you can give the ball to and say, go give me 30 tonight, big fella. Like, I just saw KD and Kyrie just get 30, 40 points. And that wasn't part of the offense. They just got it. They just went in. At one point, Klay Thompson could just go get you 30 points in a knee. Everybody knows the offense. That's my only concern. And as you advance, the defenses get better and better and better, with the exception of Ja Morant. Who else can just go get it?
So do you see them as a second round team, as the second round being their limit?
Depending on who they play.
Okay. As it stands, it would be the Warriors or whoever, if the Warriors lose in the second round.
Yeah. I think they are poised to be right now. They should advance, get out of the first round.
Definitely.
Now, once they get to the second round and the finals, depending on who they're playing, I think this team, I think they're going to be competitive. But maybe they have a matchup. Ja Morant is the variable because he has speed and quickness. He may be able to disrupt the other team's defense where now Dillon Brooks and Desmond Bane and those guys are going. But if you're able to contain him, not stop him, if you're just going to contain him, where else are you going to go?
I feel you.
That's my concern.
When they play without Ja, it's very team-oriented basketball. And
it's very team-oriented.
You can't get away with that in the playoffs. And it works in the regular season like it does for the Utah Jazz. And it doesn't work. I'll keep picking on the Utah Jazz because our next question is from major Utah Jazz fan, Ennis Marsh, who says, which team do you think is in for the most disappointing postseason relative to their current expectations? So which of the top seeds is going to disappoint the most?
The top. I think the team that has the most disappointing will be Brooklyn.
But they're not. They're not a top seed.
Yeah, top seed. Probably the Jazz. This Jazz thing just.
I don't think at this point anyone's even going to be disappointed because I think even the Jazz fans, Ellis himself, I think that's why he's asking this question. I think they're all ready for the disappointment. I don't even think the Utah Jazz fans themselves are hopeful that this team is going to get to the finals or get to the. I think they know. I think they already know. I think the Utah Jazz already know. And unless there's some sort of major injuries to every team they play, I think it's just going to be what we've seen year in and year out. I don't think that's a disappointment. I think that's just reality because we've seen it so many times.
Like I want to call it. I want to, and again, I don't know. I don't like to be a couch coach, right? I don't like to. And I respect all the coaches, but for the life of me, I don't know why they won't put Donovan Mitchell at the point guard position.
Yeah, we've spoken about this. We've spoken about this.
It doesn't make sense to me.
I think they need to get off the contract of Mike Conley. And
you're not just bring Mike Conley is one of the elite. He would be one of, if not the best.
Let me ask you this:
guards coming off the bench.
Would you rather have Jordan Clarkson start the game at the 2-man and then have Conley coming off the bench as a 6-man?
No, I don't want Jordan Clarkson to start. I know Jordan Clarkson has mastered the art of coming off the bench.
Okay, but then who's playing the 2-guard?
I don't care. Put the kid, Nickeil Alexander or whatever. I don't care.
He's barely been playing for them.
Put someone. Put someone. There's so many glaring weaknesses on the team. One of the glaring weaknesses, they have a 7'1" or 7'2" center. Okay, which is he's elite at what he does
on defense.
But then you have on defense.
Well, he's not elite offensively. He offers nothing.
Okay, but then they are small everywhere else.
Yeah,
Donovan Mitchell is a small 2-guard. Mike Conley is a small lead guard.
It's 4 out, 1 in.
Royce O'Neal, and then Bogdanovich is he a power forward? He's not a power forward.
He should be a shooting guard or a small forward. He's not a power forward.
Okay,
come on.
Now, so I keep asking myself, why not make this into a big team? But you have Rudy. And you got Donovan. Donovan would be a big lead guard. Just put him there at the lead guard.
So
and then build around but keep your bench the way it is. You have you got a guy who can get 20 off the bench. That's a luxury in this league. You have a guy, Mike Conley, that could come in and run the team. Whether that would change the way Jordan Clarkson plays then off the bench though. Because he's not going to be the primary. Because if Mike Conley's there, what's he doing while Jordan Clarkson's coming in and getting 20 off the bench? He's spacing the floor like the guard who comes in now.
Mike Conley into a spot-up shooter.
Everyone's got to change as they age in this league.
That's fair enough.
Everyone has to.
Hey, that's fair enough. That's fair enough.
If you say Mike Conley's the same player as he was 5, 6, 7 years ago, no, he's not. He's a different player now. He's a different player now. I'm saying that's not what they're going to do. Okay, but what I'm saying is if we continue to win games in the regular season and this continues to happen, how many years have we been looking at this now?
This is why I said it's not a disappointment. The original question is which team is in for the most disappointing postseason. It's not going to be the Jazz because we're not going to be because we're not going to be disappointed because we know it's already going to. I think that's a tough question. I think Chicago, their fans are going to be very disappointed with their postseason based on how this regular season went. And if what you just said in a previous question about Memphis turns out to be true, I think the Memphis fans will be disappointed because I think that they can outperform, what the kind of expectations are. So those are teams who have had great regular seasons and the fans are kind of expecting that momentum to carry through. But the Jazz, we know the Jazz and what they do every year. I will be shocked if they outperform expectations, not the other way around. But we got tons of questions to get through. We can't talk about the Utah Jazz because there's only like 3 Utah Jazz fans in the whole country anyway. So we're respectfully going to have to keep it moving because shout out to Ellis and whoever the other 2 Utah Jazz fans are there in the UK. So shout out to you guys. I know one of them is Andy and I don't know who the third one is. Make yourself known. Hit me with a tweet because I know you guys always get on to me and I can talk myself about the Utah Jazz because the Celtics just slapped them by 30. I turned on the game. It's the second quarter. We're up 30. I rang PJ. I said, you seeing this? Man, I went to an event. I went to a party. I thought I was off my head. I thought I was waved. I thought I was seeing things when I saw the scoreboard. It was reality. But anyway, Aaron Taylor says, big fan of the show. Aaron, we're a big fan of you showing your support. Thank you, my brother. He says, do you see the Lakers coming out of this slump anytime soon? Aging superstars, no draft picks, LeBron goes to Cleveland. Is this how the Lakers look for the next 10 years? And what solutions do you guys propose? BJ hates talking about the Lakers, so I'm going to answer this one. This isn't a slump because it's been the entire season for the Los Angeles Lakers. This is just who they are, okay? No draft picks, that's their own fault. They traded them all for Anthony Davis, who can't stay healthy. LeBron going to Cleveland isn't a sure thing, but who knows how that's going to figure out. The Lakers for the next 10 years, who knows how they're going to look? Because the whole appeal of playing for the Lakers is you get to live in LA. If the Lakers didn't move from Minneapolis to Los Angeles, guess what? They wouldn't have won any of these championships. They've won championships because of their location and free agents wanting to go and play there, or players demanding a trade to go and play there. So it depends on the free agent markets and whoever wants to trade from their team if they want to force their way to play in Southern California. And I'm not mad, because I would love to live in Southern California too. But we got another question. Chris Rose says, let's hypothetically the Knicks decide Julius Randle era is over in the offseason and looks to trade him. Which team should be picking up the phone to try and trade for Julius Randle, and where do you think would be the best fit for him?
Are you giving me that question, Mo?
Yeah.
Did we just pay this guy last year?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not giving you the question. Chris Rose is giving you the question. So you could tell Chris why it's not a question that should be asked.
Well, I think here, I don't think people are looking at Julius Randle right now going, hey, that's the piece we need. You know, he's like a player you have to, you know, you might see this player and you got to figure out and just watch him. You know, it's like it takes some time to adjust to the way he played in his style. I don't think he's being traded. I don't think there's any team right now other than a transactional trade where they would trade him.
Yep.
And now, where that's going to happen, I think that will reveal itself, right? Who would have salary cap? Who would have the space to take on a player like that at his salary? Since I think this is the first year of a big salary that he just signed. So
yeah.
So I don't see him going anywhere unless it's a transactional trade and the Knicks are going in a completely different direction at this time. And I don't see that happening right now.
I mean, I'm looking through, we got tons of questions. We're going to have to be a bit snappier with our answers. So I'm going to have to hit a few with a yes or a no. GA34, who has once again clarified he's not Giannis's burner account, says Mikal Bridges is now well recognized across the league as a lockdown defender, but can you see the offensive potential for him to become an elite two-way player in a similar career path to Kawhi Leonard? I'm saying he can be a good offensive player, but to reach Kawhi Leonard's level, I don't think you're accurately assessing how great Kawhi Leonard is on the offensive end of the basketball. I think Mikal Bridges can become a good second or third option on a team, but I don't think he can be a Kawhi Leonard who carries a team to an NBA championship. BJ?
I don't think he'll ever reach the level offensively as Kawhi Leonard because of his body. Defensively, I love what he brings. I love his athletic ability and all those things. And he may very well be the defensive player of the year. But Kawhi Leonard is an elite, I repeat, an elite defensive player. Offensively, he can carry a team. But I love this kid, Mikal Bridges.
That's facts. That's facts. The Spurs UK fan club, speaking of Kawhi Leonard, sore memories for those guys. The Spurs fans in the UK say, should the Spurs push for a play-in spot or tank for the best pick possible? Personally, I think it would be a great experience for Murray and co. Also, not to encourage a losing mentality, especially when the opportunity is there. We've spoken about this a bunch of times before, BJ. I never condone tanking, and I think neither do you. Am I right in saying that?
That would be correct. That would be correct.
So I think there's your answer. I can't condone any team trying to lose games, whatever it is. But Vice Point Studio wants to know who BJ is backing for the NCAA tournament. I'm sorry to bring this up, BJ. Now that we've seen the first two rounds, can North Carolina make the Final Four? He believes they can. And we're 100-1 with the bookies, which means the bet makers, the odds before the madness began. BJ, who are you backing now that your Iowa Hawkeyes sadly were eliminated rather early on?
Yeah, there are a number of teams here. Now you got, 2 games. Now you're in the Final Four.
I just need one name. I just need one name. Arizona. No, okay. Not Gonzaga. Okay.
Arizona. You didn't say 2 names. You said one name.
No, I'm saying that's
Arizona.
my name. I'm saying that's my name.
Okay.
And I hope they meet in the final. And then we can talk about that. Dan Franklin says, we talk a lot about one second. My laptop just died. My laptop just died with the list of questions on. Give me one second. I will put the charger in. But in the meantime, tell the people why Arizona are going to win.
No, I'm not telling them why Arizona is going to win. You tell them why Gonzaga is going to win.
I'm fixing my laptop. I can't do both. Man, we need a live producer for the technical issues. Anyway, where was I? Let me scroll down this list, man. Let me scroll down this list. Sorry, guys, for the technical issues. We're back. Rahul Asnani, shout out to Rahul. He's just got a new podcast. He says, what does the future look like for the San Antonio Spurs? I think they're in good hands. I like DeJounte Murray a lot. He's a very solid young point guard to build around. I like a few Keldon Johnson, a few of the other pieces they've got. And if they can strike gold on one of these draft picks, I think that they can solidly build their way back to a playoff competing franchise.
I totally agree with what, everything that Mo said there. And I think now they just have to add, they have an all-star. I mean, think about this. They have an all-star player right now.
Yep.
So I think they're in good hands. I think now they just need to continue to add more and more talent, and they'll be fine.
Pierce McGlinchey wants to know, which current player do you think would be the most suited to the 90s style of basketball, and who from the 90s would be best suited in today's game? I'm going to leave this one to you because I never played in the 90s. I was born in the 90s. So, BJ, hit me. Which player from today's game, just one player, would you think would fit best in the 90s?
Kawhi Leonard, for sure.
Okay. And which player from the 90s would fit the best today, except for BJ Armstrong, who can shoot like over 40% from the three?
You know who I think would. Michael would be incredible.
No. Let's take Michael and LeBron and these guys off the board.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. I think Scottie Pippen would be incredible in today's game. He would be, because as I watch like Andre Iguodala and I watched some of these guys, you're going, like you're watching this kid Scotty Barnes right now. Mm-hmm. He reminds me of like Barnes, the younger version of like what Scotty was when he first came in the league.
I've got two names for you, and it's kind of a different angle of attacking this, because I know what you're saying about that all-round talent of Scotty Barnes, Giannis, Scottie Pippen. I think Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf, and I think Drazen Petrovic, purely because of the amount of threes that guys are allowed to shoot today. Because those guys just shoot threes all day long.
I played against both of those guys.
You don't know
about that. I'm not. Drazen was an incredible shooter. Like his shooting was amazing. But unlike today, I'm gonna be real quick here because I know we're moving. The late Drazen Petrovic was an incredible shooter, amazing. I played against him in high school, by the way.
Yeah.
That's when the first time I saw him. Today's offense, the way you run offense today, you're not. It's not team. It's not like we're gonna run a play and a counter and get the ball and guy comes off a double screen. That's what Drazen did incredibly well. What you're seeing now is like isolation basketball. You follow what I'm saying?
But I hear what you're saying. But
you follow what I'm saying?
I know what you mean.
Well, not every team, but every team does it.
Well, every team who has players capable of doing that.
Yeah, that's,
you know what I mean?
Okay, so Milwaukee tries to play with the team, but Chris Middleton in the end, and
yeah, down the stretch, every team does it. Yeah, I get it.
No one's playing team-oriented basketball, and that's what Drazen did incredibly well. He was, he had a couple of years in the NBA where he was like, wow.
Yeah.
The other kid, Rauf, like he could shoot it. He could score. I had no doubt he would be scoring. There's no doubt.
Yeah.
Okay, but the thing is, the only player I could really compare him to is Damian Lillard. But I think Damian Lillard gets to the basket better than him.
Well, Phil Jackson compared Steph to Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf. That's your boy. Don't tell me no. Yeah. That's your coach. So we got another question. But speaking of the 90s, Nickel Lal wants to know which. Oh wow, this is a good question. Pick a team of players you would want to play alongside. One from the 90s, one from the 2000s, one from the 2010s, and one from the current era. Doesn't have to be the best players, just players you would like to play with.
Okay. Now who I would want to play with.
Peter's about to give you four bigs.
Okay, no. The one I would want to play with now is Luka for sure.
Okay, so Luka you're taking from the current era.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Luka I would want to play.
From the 2010s.
I would definitely want to play with Tim Duncan.
Yep. What about from the 2000s?
Is that the 2000s?
Yeah, from 2000 to 2009.
So then what and then we got to go from 10 to 20, right?
Yeah.
From 10 to 20.
So you can pick Tim Duncan for either because he won a championship in both.
Yeah, as I said, yeah, Tim Duncan. That was like that's the guy I really would want to play with. And then when I got to pick another one from which era before then?
So the 90s, the 2000 and 2010. So either from 2000s or 2010s because you picked Tim Duncan. So I don't know which era you're picking him from.
From the night. So now I got to go in the late 90s.
No. So you've got Luka from the current era.
Yes.
And who have you got from between 2010 and 2019?
Tim Duncan.
Tim Duncan. So who from 2000 to 2009?
Oh, from 2000 to 2009.
Yeah, you get another pick.
I get. You know what?
Shaq. Yep. And one player from the 90s.
Oh, from the 90s too.
One that you didn't already play with.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I was fortunate. I played with a guy that.
You played with the one guy
the
everyone
90s.
in the world wants to play with. Yeah.
Yeah. I played with him. Dream.
That's also my
play
pick.
with Dream.
From the 90s, I want to play with Akeem. When he gets that double teamed, I'm going to be waiting there for that 3-point shot.
Yeah,
I'm gonna let
I
that
would
fly.
play with-
From the 2000s, it's got to be Mamba. It's got to be Kobe. I can't have anyone else.
Yeah, you know, later I would have loved to play with later Kobe. Not
Okay,
the early.
I'll pick Kobe from the 2010s, and from the 2000s, I'll pick KG.
Later on.
Yeah,
Early on, I'm not.
I hear you.
Early
I hear you.
on, he was figuring it out.
I hear
You know what I mean?
I hear you. And then
Early on, but I know Kobe was. Listen, I you know, look. What could you say?
so I've got Hakeem, Kevin Garnett, Kobe Bryant, and from the current era, Marcus Smart. From the current era, I'm taking Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Okay, and moving right along. We got more questions to get to.
Man, Tom Nancro, we got loads of questions about the San Antonio Spurs. He says, big love on the podcast. You know, I tune in every day at lunch. We appreciate you, Tom. Hope you are enjoying your lunch while you listen to this show. I hope you're having a peanut butter jelly sandwich because that's my favorite lunch. If you were the San Antonio Spurs, how would you look to get back in the playoff picture in years to come? P.S. Mad love for Keldon Johnson. Well, I think they've just got to keep doing what they're doing. There's no quick fix. You're not getting a giant free agent to come to the San Antonio Spurs. You're not getting the number one pick because you're a lot better than some of the other teams that aren't in the playoff picture. You traded away quite a few of your assets now. You've got to develop your guys. And the Spurs have been great at developing their guys. So let's hope they can continue to develop these guys. BJ? Anything to add?
Mo, you got it.
I
wish there was a quick fix
to answer that
Yeah,
question.
I think you nailed it.
Mo,
You nailed it.
there's 4 ways to improve a team. There's the trade.
Yeah, there you go.
Anyway, Cameron Tate says, tell me I'm wrong when I say it's going to be a Celtics Grizzlies finals. Cameron, you're wrong about half of that. It's going to be a Celtics Suns finals. BJ, you going to tell him that he's wrong too? Or are you going to tell him he's right?
But you know, we love new. I'm not buying this, but I'm rooting for both of those teams though. I'm because you see like the Celtics, you're saying this team could be really good. I mean, these guys, Tatum, you're going, but this is what I'm going to say about both of these teams, Mo. And this is a I think both of these teams, Mo, with this experience this year, the window to win a championship is now there.
Yes.
No, seriously. No, because
I'm
one of these teams are
going
to outperform. One of these teams they're going to, hopefully both of them, but one of them is going to outperform even what we think they should do.
Yes.
Like everybody's going to be like, oh my gosh, like I didn't expect the Grizzlies to get there, or the Celtics, you're going to be like, what a story. You know what I mean? It's going to be what a story. But the truth of it is they're all positioned, Mo, to be good for a long time, or at least a 3 to 5 year window. I think, Mo, if one of these teams can get there and gain this experience and keep this group together, Mo, they could go on a run. I really do. Both of them. But you also know with that comes failure, right? Mo, you know what I'm saying? Like if one of these teams or both of them lose in the first round,
Mm-hmm.
are you going to stick with them?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I like them. I'm rooting for them. I just don't think it's going to happen for both of them.
The next question is a great question. Ben Ponson wants to know, BJ, who are your top 3 rappers of all time? I just need 3 names.
Three
just,
names.
Just 3. The first 3 that come into your head. I just need 3. No time to think. I just need 3 names.
No. See, I have a top 4.
Okay, we'll circle back to this one at the end of the show so you can think about it.
No. I'm gonna give you my top 3. You know, he asked.
Okay.
I'm gonna get. I have a top 4. I don't. It's like building a building. You can't build it with 3. You got to build it with 4. That no matter. And I'm trying to figure which one. Okay. Here is KRS-One, G-Rap, Cool G-Rap, and Rakim.
I respect it. Who's the fourth?
Big Daddy Kane.
Okay.
You can't have hip hop music and not have those 4 as the pillar to everything else. Those 4 to me sit there. Now, the only reason I said Kane is because Kane is the one who started all these guys, doing fast, and he Rakim slowed it down. Kane pushed it, but G-Rap, his subject matter, KRS-One subject matter. So, but you can't have hip hop in the discussion and not say those 4.
Man, we'll get into the greatest rappers of all time debate another day. But in the meantime,
and we got to have them on the show. We can't get into it. We got to have those guys on the show.
Soon come, soon land. Cassim wants to know, what's the most unguardable move in NBA history? BG, I think there's only one answer for this. Are you thinking the same thing of what I'm thinking? The most unguardable move?
Well, Mo, that's post play. Think about this, Mo. I'm talking about in any era. I'm trying to go from beginning I'm trying to go from beginning to now. Like, just
for you guys who are listening on audio, by the way, I was doing a sky hook.
Yeah.
I just realized you can't see me. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. I firmly believe probably the fadeaway is probably the most unguardable move.
Interesting.
Yeah, Kareem with the sky hook, but guys can get to a fadeaway from a variety of ways. You know what I mean? Like, you can get there,
fade off the post, fade off the
post,
yeah,
one leg. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna say the fadeaway because every player had some version. Every great player had some version of a fadeaway in his arsenal.
I hear it. I'm going with the sky hook.
Kareem,
I like the odds.
Yeah, it's Kareem.
I like the percentages.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Kevin says, is there a standout player who will be the number 1 pick in the draft this year? If not, will the team with the first pick be wise because they're trading it to potentially get a star player in return?
I think the number 1 pick.
Okay. Who you got?
The number 1 pick, I think, is this kid from Purdue, Jaden Ivey. I think he will be the most impactful player. You heard it here first.
I agree, but I don't think there is a standout player because I think a lot of teams are still looking at guys like Paolo. A lot of teams are looking at Chet. So I don't think, as great as Jaden Ivey is, it's not like the years of the draft where there's one guy that everyone's been talking about all year and it's a sure thing. Like when Zion was drafted, everyone knew Zion would be the first pick a year before the draft, right? That's what standout pick for me in my head.
Mo, I think the media did that.
Yes.
There were a lot of executives who thought that Ja Morant was the best player in the draft.
There were none in New Orleans, and that's what mattered. Because the world look a whole lot different right now.
But here's a difference, Mo. Here's a difference. Someday you're gonna be a GM, and always remember this. If you go out on a limb, you better be right. Now, because it's easier to answer to your owner when they says everybody would have taken him number 1 than if you don't take him. Yep. So there were a lot of executives behind the scenes.
And I'm not mad because look at Greg Oden, Sam Bowie, all these guys, they were sure things too.
Absolutely. Okay. I remember that draft, I remember the Kevin Durant draft.
Yeah, because the Celtics
There was a large
get KD.
There was a large group of teams, and you got to have the guts to do it. Like, it's easy to talk about it now. Oh, I would have taken Jordan. If I had the number. I love these guys who. Oh, we had such and such. Everybody had Giannis number one on the board. Now, oh, we had Giannis number one on our board.
Anyone saying that is a damn liar.
Yeah, exactly. So what I'm saying is, Mo, is there were a lot of people behind the scenes who had Ja Morant. And believe this or not, there were a lot of people who had RJ Barrett as the number one pick in that draft.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting.
A lot of people had him on the draft. Now, not a lot of people probably would admit it, but there were a lot of people who had RJ. And I remember Ja Morant, because Ja Morant didn't come, he didn't go to, he went to what, Murray State, I believe, or
Murray State University.
He went to a smaller school. But it's not there's no hype in this draft. There's no consensus.
Mm-hmm.
But trust me when I tell you this. There are a lot of people who have this kid Chet Holmgren is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of people who are looking at this kid Jabari
Smith, yep. Paolo Banchero as well.
And Paolo is in there and this kid Ivy.
Yeah.
But for me, in the right situation, like for instance, just today, I don't know this for if Oklahoma City Thunder got the number one pick, I think they would take Chet Holmgren. Why? Because
they got shy.
Yeah, they got shy.
Well, let's do it live right now. Live, we're doing a simulation, tankathon.com.
Okay.
Simulate the lottery. The team that ended up with the number one pick was the Indiana Pacers. If you're the Indiana Pacers, who are you picking?
I'm picking Jaden Ivey.
There we go. They'd be
wise. Say, but they just got Halliburton. They got Halliburton.
I think they could play together in the backcourt, though.
Yeah. I'm taking Ivy.
Okay.
Kids right there from Indiana.
Dan Stojic. I hope I pronounced that right. Apologies if I didn't, because this is an amazing question. Should Ime Udoka get Coach of the Year?
I think Ime Udoka. I think
just before you.
I think it's a three-man race. Go ahead.
There is so many coaches that have done great jobs this year. I think there's way more than three that deserve a mention. But the Celtics are 1.5 games outside of first place, and they're really rolling right now. Imagine if the Celtics finish in first place in the Eastern Conference after having such a terrible start to the year. I think if they finish in first place in the East, then they have to give the Coach of the Year to Ime Udoka. What's your take on that, BJ?
Well, I think Ime Udoka has done a phenomenal job. I think it's a three-man race.
Jenkins,
Taylor Jenkins,
Monty.
He has to be it. I mean, come on, Mo. As well as the Celtics, Taylor Jenkins has done an incredible job.
He's got them winning 15-3 without Ja Morant.
Yes,
amazing.
He's with Ja, without Ja, and Monty is there. I think it comes to those three. And you're right, and I agree with you. I think there's been some outstanding coaches this year. However, I think those three, what especially Ime Udoka, what he's done, because he's done a complete 180 with this group.
Yep.
Okay. He's done, and the fact that he kept his team to be says a lot about him and his coaching staff and what he's done. It says a lot about those players. So I think those three guys deserve to be in the race. I give the slight edge, the slight nod to Monty, just because Monty came in with, look, they are not finals. They have to win the whole thing or bust.
Okay.
They get back to the finals, I think that's just, I don't think that's a good season for them.
They have to win the championship because I expect them to win the championship. And
yes.
I think they will be disappointed. Well, the reason for me is they were second in the West last year. They won 51 games. And so I'm not really surprised that they've been so good.
They're closing in on 60. Then, right? Yeah. What are they, like 59?
I'm not surprised that they are so good this season. It's not a surprise to me. Whereas the Grizzlies and the Celtics are more surprised factors. They're on 59 wins with 10 games, less than 10 games now.
Wow.
The final question, Ryan Woodcock wants to know, is there more of a one-man team in the NBA other than the Bucks? Take Giannis out, they would have made the playoffs, in my opinion. Well, Ryan, they took Kevin Durant off the Nets because he was injured, and they went from 1st to 8th in the East. And if he didn't return, they would probably be in the lottery right now. So I don't think it's fair to call the Bucks a one-man team because they're actually better without Giannis than the Bucks are without KD. But I think you take any great player off any team and it impacts the winning in the modern NBA, because we've seen certain people lose arguably the greatest player of all time off their team and still continue to compete at a high level. I don't want to mention any names, but we've seen that. But that was in a different era. Now I think a lot of these teams, the way that they're built and they're so superstar centric, take KD off of the Nets, take Joel Embiid off the Sixers. You're seeing what's happening with the Warriors without Steph Curry. So other than the Phoenix Suns and Miami Heat, I think every team would suffer losing their best player.
I agree. And I think, that's why they're great players. And I know we throw that term around loosely these days, but when you lose a great player like a KD, or, you lose a great player, you even take like Kawhi Leonard, this team is basically, what are they, like 500 without him?
Yeah.
He's him alone on the court is plus 10, right?
Yeah.
And so I mean, you can see the difference, but great players, when you have a player, man, it's a huge bonus.
Man,
covers a lot of your mistakes.
That is a super extended episode of the Hoop Genius podcast brought to you by NBA 2K22. We've been going for over an hour, B. Looking ahead to the weekend.
Can I just say one thing, Mo?
Okay,
I just gotta say one thing.
Okay.
Just one thing. Coach Spo is my favorite coach now.
Man.
Coach Spo, you can come on this show anytime. He's my favorite. He's my favorite coach now.
That's facts. I love his career path, his journey, the way that he made it to head coach levels is a true inspiration. But BJ, we're looking at the weekend now. We've got a few games. Here's the games that stand out to me that I'm going to be locked in on, focus in.
Okay.
The Mavericks and the Timberwolves. I think the Mavericks and the Timberwolves are going to play a good game. And then
where's that game being played at? That
game is being played in Minnesota. And then that's Friday night. And then Saturday night, the game I'm looking at is the Nets and the Heat. And I know we thought that they were going to rest the Heat starting players when we spoke on Sky Sports. I think after the last game, they might just want to put them out there to try and use some of that fire. But the main game I'm looking at is the Bucks versus the Grizzlies. Saturday night, midnight for all our fans in the UK. The Bucks and Grizzlies go head-to-head in Memphis. That's going to be a great one. And then on Sunday night, the games you guys need to be watching are the ones on Sky Sports, so you can see me and BJ on TV. But the Timberwolves face the Celtics. And then the Sixers face the Suns. And the Jazz face the Mavericks as well, which I think is just always fun watching Luka go at it with Rudy Gobert. But that's my plans for the weekend. BJ, anything exciting on the agenda for you?
Oh, yeah. On Sunday, March 27th, Knicks versus Pistons.
Get out of here, man. Get out of here.
That's the highlight of what? You asked me and I told you the highlight of my weekend. And then you told me to get out of here. What is this?
BJ, man, come on. You got all the family there. You live in LA, and the highlight of your weekends could be watching the Detroit Pistons play the New York Knicks. Fair play. I respect it.
Mo. This is Detroit basketball.
Mm-hmm.
This is what we do. Don't start talking about it when they start winning and all that. No, Mo.
And I'm not mad. I'm not mad at the Pistons part because they've been exciting recently. I'm talking about the Knicks part of that game.
Oh, well, hey, it doesn't matter who we're playing. It's all about Detroit. It's all about us, man. It doesn't matter who we're playing.
Well, that's
we're
been
building
another
culture
episode.
there. We're building culture. We're building culture there.
And it's beef stew for dinner at BJ's house on Sunday night then. They're having beef stew for dinner and lunch. But appreciate you guys rocking with us for another week. This has been the Hoop Genius podcast. We appreciate everyone who sent in a question. We're going to have to put some sort of filter in for the questions or pull them out of a hat next time because there is getting too many to get through. But we really appreciate all of them. Don't stop sending
Keep them coming. It's Mo who doesn't want to answer all these questions. I need 3 hours to answer all these questions. We need it.
BJ wants to take half hour to answer the questions. I'm trying to run through them.
Hey, these guys are sending incredible questions. You know what I mean?
I think maybe we need to do that in a live show. Maybe I need to hop on a Twitch and maybe we need to stream it as a live show instead. And then you can ask the questions in real time. Maybe that's the move. No. Who knows? The only way that you're going to find out is by subscribing and listening next week to find out what we do. If you enjoyed your question being answered, if you want questions to be answered, Follow us on Twitter. Send in your questions. But most importantly, until next time, more importantly than all of that, earlier this week we had Bismack on the show talking about the Phoenix Suns, talking about some of his personal stuff. I want to urge you one more time. Go to his website, go on Google, type in Bismack Beyond Blood Foundation. On his website, there's a button that says donate. If you can, I know not everyone can, but if you can, donate some money to the cause and everything that Bismack's doing. We appreciate him coming on the show, but I just wanted to remind you guys one more time, because it's exciting having these guests, exciting talking about the NBA, talking about basketball, but there are things that are bigger than basketball. And I just want to remind you guys, in the spirit of goodwill, to, if you can, go and donate to Bismack Foundation and what he's doing over there. But aside from all of that, make sure you get buckets.